What is happening out there, Roto Scouts baseball fans? Good to see you, gang. Happy Friday. Welcome to the last regular season show of the year, anyway. We'll see about any playoff slate shows. Usually they're not that great slate-wise. You get the first couple series with multi-gamers, but we'll see what happens there. A couple more main slates over the weekend. We'll have those covered, but it's going to be our last main slate show, final Friday. Big 12 gamer to talk about. Not a ton of time. Starting a little bit later than I wanted to. 4:40 as usual. Getting a little late start. Was up all night last night getting football taken care of. Not enough hours in the day these days. Going to be up all night tonight knocking out the groups and stacks article. But we've got initial football projections are up on the site. Initial rankings positions are up on the site. Stack rankings. The first cut of the groups and optimizers with the shell, the framework, the different groups. So I got to get the screenshot stats in there and then just write up all the notes for 22 teams. Fortunately, it's 11 games this week, not 13. Saves a little bit of time overnight. Scheduling wise, if you're looking for a football main slate show, I am still trying to land that somewhere over the next 24 hours or so. I've got the Yankee game tomorrow in the afternoon, which I do want to go to. I don't want to skip the last game of the year. So that carves out a little bit of time. Unfortunately, it's going to make things a little bit crunched, but full content will be up on the site regardless. Keep an eye out for notifications. I am going to try and get back and knock that show out like tomorrow evening. We'll see. But full content for football will be up. But right now, 12-game main slate to talk about for baseball, and we can dive on in. Andy's here. Anthony Taylor's here. Happy Friday, guys. Good to see you too. Let me just mention I forgot to tell Discord. Show live right now. All right. So it's an interesting one to end the DFS regular season with, or at least our conversations about it. You can see the pitching board. A couple standout spots. One glaring there in dark green if you're looking at the price column. Just a third of the way down the board. Don't usually see prices that cheap, ranked that highly, but Trevor McDonald, kind of a slate bender today. 4,000 on DraftKings facing the Colorado Rockies. He went 6 against the Dodgers in his most recent outing. Second start in the show, or second appearance in the show. It's like a mid-low 20 strikeout guy through the minors. He's 24. There's enough upside there. 4,000. It's going to be wildly popular on DraftKings. 6,000 on FanDuel. I expect he's going to be pretty popular over there too. So that's just a weird little curveball to start things out. We've got a lot of usable ace caliber top-end pitchers, a lot of a number of B-plus type pitchers on the slate. Your Emmett Sheehan's, your Will Warrens, your Quinn Priesters of the world. I would throw Zach Gallen, maybe A-, B-plus type level. A lot of usability. Some major question marks, but some guys that we could maybe get away with down the board for fair prices too, like Sandy Alcantara against the Mets. I don't think we're looking to target that spot. But Sandy has polished things up in the second half a little bit. He's only 7,000. He's 8,200. It's believable that you could see him succeed. Brandon Sproat against the Marlins for 87 on FanDuel, but 73 on DraftKings. I think that's real interesting. So we'll talk about this stuff as we get into it. You'll note scrolling across the bottom of the screen there, just trying to spend a little time as people trickle in. Scrolling across the bottom of the screen, promo code WEEKFREE, all in caps, all one word. Get your free week right out of the gate. Doesn't have to be a first-time subscription, just has to be a new weekly plan. You sign up for a weekly membership, you pop in promo code WEEKFREE, all one word, all in caps, and that first week is free. Take it today, get you through next Friday, so you get multiple showdown slates for football from next week, including this week as well as this weekend's main slate. You get Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football next week. You'll have at least a day or so to look at projections for the beginning of next Sunday's main slate. You get all the baseball playoff content in between. Anything else that hits the website. Typical price under $1 a day at rotoscouts for access to everything that lands on that site. No per sport fees, no BS. Trying to keep money in your pocket, help grow your bankroll. Let's talk run board. Orioles against the Yanks. Going up against Will Warren. The O's are pulling just a 3.69 implied total. Will's been pitching to a low 4s ERA, a little bit better than that on the XFIP, but it would be believable to see the Orioles put a few more runs on him than that. He has been a little bit vulnerable. Also makes short starts a lot of the time, but I do like the upside for him as an individual. He projects fairly nicely. The Orioles have some strikeout in that lineup, and again, he has been good and good at finding Ks. The Yankees pulling a 4.39 implied total against Trevor Rogers, who has just been utterly outstanding when it comes to ERA for the season. His 17 starts have amounted to a 1.35 ERA, but a 3.54 xFIP. That's where the rubber meets the road a little bit on that 4+ implied total. But for the Yankees and for where they've been lately, that is fairly low. It's having a little bit of an impact. They're not the top-ranked team, happy to say. Or, I mean, I love when the Yankees are the top-ranked team, but I know people don't. And they were the top-ranked team with their 5+ implied totals on basically a daily basis, outside of maybe 1 or 2 spots for the last, I feel like, 10 days. The Rays, the Blue Jays, 8-run total in that one. 4.64 implied on the Blue Jays side, looking like a pretty solid spot to target. They're going up against Adrian Hauser, totally gettable pitcher. It's not terrible. He's capable of getting his way through 6, maybe 7 innings if all goes to plan. But he's not high end, fairly low strikeout in most of his outings this year. And then Toronto's throwing Shane Bieber into the Rays, 3.46 implied total for them. Bieber looks pretty spectacular, one of the top-ranked pitchers on the board. As mentioned, Brandon Sproat off to a good start in the major league career so far. 3.57 ERA, 3.07 xFIP over his 6 starts, finding some Ks. Reasonable option against the Marlins for a very cheap price. Coming back the other way, Sandy Alcantara, as mentioned, much more interested in Mets bats against than a 4.57 implied total. And Sandy, for the first half of the season, was not good at all. But again, he has really, really found form lately, and he's continuing to pitch deep into games. At least 7 innings in 4 of his last 6 starts. The other 2, he went 6 2/3 in one and 6 in the other. So Sandy's, I don't want to say back, but looking much better. 4.02 implied total for the Marlins, 4.57 implied for the Mets. The Rangers at the Guardians. It's Jack Leiter for the Rangers. It's Slade Ciccone on the mound for the Guardians. Guardians have been red hot in recent weeks, winning ball games. DFS quality kind of up and down for that lineup. There's obviously a superstar. There's other usable parts, but they're rarely the top end DFS team of the day. Leiter's capable pitcher, but also gettable. 4.64 xFIP speaks to that, a sub-4 ERA, but only just. I think we can grab some Guardians bats at probably a 4 cornersy kind of spot. The Rangers lineup at just a 3.44 implied total against Ciccone would be the lowest end piece. He was outstanding in his last game against the Twins, but he's also an up and down pitcher. As a contrarian team, you could probably do worse than some Rangers, but they're not a priority in any way. Tigers at the Red Sox, 9 runs there. Mid-4s implied on both sides. Think we're looking at some bats in that one. It's Casey Mize against Kyle Harrison. Harrison is still trying to find form at the major league level. Last start was pretty good against the Rays, though. At Tampa, just 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks over 6. Has had his good moments, but has also had some mediocre or down performances overall. It's just a good Tigers opponent coming in. Casey Mize, also a little bit up and down through the season, mostly good, more good than bad. I would throw Mize at the Red Sox, I think, before throwing Kyle Harrison into the Tigers, but it's very close in that big important series in Boston. The Pirates and the Braves, 4.75 implied total on the Braves side. They're going up against Mitch Keller. For the Braves, it's Joey Wentz. Keeping the Pirates down, 3.85 implied total for them. They're just awful. Wentz isn't particularly good on his own, but 7 strikeouts against Detroit in his last game could certainly meet that mark, maybe improve on it against the Pirates. The Reds and the Brewers, 3.56 implied total for the Reds, going up against Quinn Priester, who's been pretty terrific through the season, and Zach Littell going for the Reds, pushing a healthy total toward the Brewers at 4.54. Astros and the Angels. The Astros pulling a 4.84 implied on their side of that one, 4.25 on the Angels side. They're showing a little bit of power upside against Jason Alexander. Home run pick of the day comes out of the Angels. They've been homer happy through the season. The quality lives and dies by their ability to get on base, not strike out around the home runs that get hit. And then the Astros definitely in play against Hendo, one of the more targetable pitchers that we've had all season and the past couple of years. Zach Gallen on the mound for the Diamondbacks, going up against the Padres, who are answering with Yu Darvish. Both those teams in low total situations, 3.55 on the D-back side, 4.03 implied on the Padres. 2 good offenses, 2 high-quality teams. You can use either one of those against either one of those pitchers. They are up and down enough, but Gallen's found form lately. Outside of 1 start, his last 9-10 have been pretty terrific. So there's a lot of upside with him, and I think there's at least a little bit of upside with Darvish. I'd rather attack Darvish, I think, between the two. Dodgers and the Mariners, ridiculously low totals for these high-scoring teams. Shocking to see the Dodgers coming in at 3.38 and the Mariners on the other side at 3.70. But it's George Kirby on the bump for Seattle and Emmett Sheehan going for the Dodgers. He's been terrific in his 11 starts in the show this year. The Royals with Noah Cameron facing the Athletics in that bandbox in Sacramento. Both those teams pulling 5+ implied totals, both near the top of the stacks board. Between the two pitchers, Mason Barnett going for the Athletics. It would be Noah Cameron that I'd be interested in. I just don't feel any need to tempt fate with that game coming in 2 runs higher than any other game on the slate, and those two teams leading the way by a pretty clear margin over everyone, not named the San Francisco Giants. The Giants checked in at the end of the night at a 5.22 implied total. They're going up against German Marquez from the Rockies. Fire away with Giants bats. And then that's the spot where we get Trevor McDonald for that late night value hammer. The Rockies on the other side of that game. You can see it right there. 3.40 implied total against McDonald. I don't know what to say. He's a $4,000 pitcher on DraftKings. He's going to be, he's, I haven't checked the ownership, but it's got to be 60% plus. I would have to think. It's going to be something ludicrous. Or not at all. Are they out of their fucking minds? All right, if this is the answer, they've got him sub 20% over where I checked the ownership. This is DraftKings. If that's the case, I would play him. If he was going to be owned by the public 20% of the time, I think I would probably be forced to just play him 100% of the time. I don't think that's anywhere near the correct number. There's so much value there. And I'm not even trying to sell the quality of the pitcher. He looks like he's only okay. We haven't exactly seen a ton of them. But last time out, he faced 24 Dodgers at Los Angeles. Only found 3 strikeouts, but this is a much higher strikeout team. Give up 6 hits, 1 earned run, walk 1. In the minors this year, he had a 22.9% strikeout rate across 24 starts in AAA. Again, not great, but reasonable. 5.31 ERA, but a 4.87 xFIP. Again, not good at all. But he's 4,000 against the worst team in the show. Maybe 60 was exaggerated. I was obviously a little over the top there, but I think under 20 is way exaggerated in the other direction. That's surprising that they have that low. Curious where, if you guys are seeing it elsewhere, where they have. Told to God, we're still grinding. Yeah, buddy. Teddy, what relievers do I recommend right now for this weekend? In what context? For DFS, I don't recommend relievers ever. Clear up the context for me there, and I'll do my best to answer, but I don't really pay all that much attention to bullpens. So let's get into this one. We do have to keep on talking. I got to remember that we are crunched for time. Got some lineups to build, and then I got to seriously just, as soon as I'm done building lineups, I might take 15 minutes to cram a sandwich in my face, and then it is going to be just sitting in this chair writing until the sun rises. Should be fun. So Beebs, top of the board, 94.98, and I say it should be fun, but it actually is fun. That's the sick part. I actually enjoy sitting there that long doing that. I have movies and stuff on TV, and I just dig in to all the details, all the different angles on the football slate. Anyway, Bieber, top of the board, 94.98. Seems like a great price to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. He's been pretty terrific for strikeouts. Love that option. Kirby, challenged by the Dodgers for sure, but 10,094, reasonably priced, super talented pitcher. Sheehan in the next spot right behind him, though, at 95.84, showing a lot of talent. There are more strikeouts in the Mariners lineup. You could argue that they're slightly lower end. Let's just call it a tie between the two lineups for argument's sake. The price, I think, makes up a little bit of the difference between those two. Both those guys, though, I think are just okay when compared to Shane Bieber in the top spot. Will Warren, you just pick up a lot of value 81.74. There is a gap in projections, and you'll note, only 3 guys above 30, only 3 guys above the 15 and change mark on DK. So kind of a short top end on the pitching slate. This peaks high with Bieber at the 35-18 range, but it doesn't have a lot of guys up there, so it's a big skinny peak. But then we get a quality middle here with Warren at 81.74. Those are perfectly reasonable prices. The Orioles have plenty of strikeout for him to go find. It's a high danger spot. He's been a little shaky at times for runs, a little bit shaky for walks, but he's been quality. 10-4-9-6 against the Yankees for Trevor Rogers. We just keep finding Trevor Rogers like this. He's projecting a few points higher than he has in a few recent starts, just because there are strikeouts in that Yankees lineup to add to the scoring. But 10-4-9-6, as good as he's been, with the underlying numbers where they are, it's just never easy to justify him against these teams at those prices, even though he's been getting through it and getting really, really lucky with that ERA. Slate Ciccone at 88 at 8,000, reasonable. That's a solid projection. He's got some K in him, and that's a weak Texas lineup that's gotten weaker in a couple recent games with what they've been rolling out there. McDonald, again, 6,000, 4,000. It's just all about those prices against this team. That is really all it is. That against that, knowing that we get 6 innings. That against that, knowing that we've got a shot at 6 innings. Quinn Priester, 9,085, nothing wrong with it. Zach Gallen, same deal. Jack Leiter against the Guardians, 85.78 is entirely reasonable in my mind. 89 is pricey for Casey Mize on FanDuel against Boston. 77 is not on DraftKings. That's an entirely reasonable SP2 option. But again, I would just go there as many times as I can, honestly. You want some diversity in the portfolio. You don't necessarily want to actually lock it, but it's a consideration if they're correct about ownership. Again, somebody, if you got eyeballs on ownership somewhere else, just tell me below 25 for Trevor McDonald on DraftKings. They got to be at least 10 points light. Noah Cameron against the Athletics. I really don't like that spot. 93.87 against that hard-hitting A's team in that ballpark, most especially. 5+ implied total just feels unnecessary to target that. Darvish at 79.62. You're probably looking at 5, maybe a little over 5, but not much shot at getting beyond, booking the 6th inning. 79.62. He's priced appropriately for that, but do I really want to target the Diamondbacks out of all these teams? Not necessarily. Keller against the Braves is serviceable at 67. That's a reasonable price as an SP2 dart. At 86, I'm not really sure what they're thinking on FanDuel. Kyle Harrison at 76.69, definitely a consideration for the cheap price on DraftKings in the mix with those other guys like Keller, like Darvish, just at price. 76 on FanDuel, I'm skeptical if I need to go there. He'd be maybe left in the pool, but I'd be keeping him at low exposure and even lower in what actually goes into the contests. EMAC added Kavonta Turpin. Sandy, I think, is probably a little bit more interesting, even though he's taking on a very tough Met squad. Probably more interesting than Harrison, Keller, Darvish, Cameron, especially Cameron at price. Just because there's such a good shot with Sandy at just getting 7 innings. And even if he gives up a few runs, he can cover it. That's why he used to be so good, because he would go 8-9 innings in basically every start. It wasn't about having monster strikeout rates with Sandy basically ever. So as long as I can get my 7 innings there for those prices, that is a reasonable consideration. And on FanDuel, I think that is also a boost. You can see he's projected a little bit higher there. Joey Wentz against the Pirates in play. 8,000, 6,000 against a garbage lineup. If we're going to be looking at Trevor McDonald for lineup reasons, I think we could consider Joey Wentz, who we've seen a little bit more of over time. Littell, probably more of a target for Brewers bats, but Sproat is definitely on the board at 73 on DraftKings. 87 is a little problematic price-wise on FanDuel, but he's been good and is good and has a lot of upside to beat that Miami team. Alexander, seeing a lot of power for the Angels against. That's a weird projection split. I wonder what's juicing the FanDuel projection by that much against the Angels of all teams. It's not like they're racking up a bunch of expectation for base hits against. Either way, though, there are strikeouts there for Alexander. We've seen him be good a couple times through the season, but he's mostly been downside. Really not looking for him, and I think I might want to get to some Angels bats, especially with the home run pick coming out of that lineup. Hauser's a no, Hendo's a bigger no, Marquez is a gigantic no, and Mason Barnett is a even bigger no than that. Johnny, yeah, I'm with you, man. It'd be shocked if McDonald was under 45% in single entry. Yeah, for sure in single entry. I mean, you gotta. How could you not? Doing anything else obviously would create a pivot, assuming that we're correct in thinking that he's going to be that highly owned. So there's that consideration, and there is a lot of value on that pitching board. So it depends on what you're getting to, right? If you don't necessarily need it and you can still get to a roughly equivalent lineup, like if you do that and you're leaving money on the table, then just buy a better pitcher and get different. But man, is that an interesting spot. Michael Knack saying, make your own lineup. The more I listen, the more I lose. Not disparaging Terry at all. He's my go-to. The others are lying to you. Love you, Big T. Just saying other sites lie. I think they get it wrong. I maybe there are some sites out there, trying to conspire and lie. I'm not saying that that's not a thing, especially in this world that we live in. But yeah, I think by and large, a lot of them just get it wrong. There are big name sites out there that just have pretty weak models, in my opinion, and they were just there first, so they became more established. There are other ones that are very, very good. So depends on who you're listening to, but we're all going to be wrong as often, if not more often, than we're right. It's just about getting it really, really right when we're right and really making those pay. But yeah, and especially in baseball, I mean, if you're worried about being wrong about something in baseball, that is just the wrong sport to be analyzing. So with that in mind, let's dive in. Rogers on the bump. Again, he's been terrific. 1.35 ERA is absolutely outstanding over 17 starts, 106 2/3. Solid strikeout rate as well, but the 3.54 xFIP is the more correct number. That's still very, very good. It's just very offset from this. And this would be a more approaching, not average, but more approaching average pitcher to be throwing into this elite Yankees lineup. He's been good at limiting home runs, just 0.74% home runs. That's part of this ERA difference, but that comes with the barrel rate has been good, but there's a fly ball trajectory there, ridiculously high hard hit rate, just under our threshold for exit velocity. So there are a little bit of concerns there, but it's not exactly creating massive upside. In fact, it's keeping the Yankees home run power in check. Only Aaron Judge above the magic number against the lefty here. The Yanks have a lot of righty thunder in this lineup. Wouldn't surprise me if Giancarlo got into one, et cetera, et cetera. But Rogers has been undeniably good at checking that power. So he's in play, but I don't like him at those prices. It feels like why do I need to attack the Yankee spot? I feel like we should get a discount on that because we know he's not as good as he's been, good as he is. Will Warren at 74.81, targeting a team with a 24.1% strikeout rate for this version of the lineup. He's got a 23.8 on his own, 4.35 ERA, a 3.93 xFIP. Again, a little bit of bumpiness on the ERA, on the run numbers. 9.3% walk with a little bit of premium contact added to the mix. Wouldn't surprise me at all if the Orioles put up a much better score than that implied total would suggest at 3.69 or imply. But Warren's also been very good in spots, and he's got good strikeout stuff. So I like him at price here against these Orioles. I think you can take your shot, and I think I would a few times. Doesn't have to be your top-owned pitcher and not a top priority guy, but at value, he's a solid middle entry on the list of SPs today. The only problem I have with Terry is his Yankee slobber. Like, I hate that they come up quite as good as they do all the time. It's not my fault. It's the same formulas for them as it is for everybody else. Key to happiness is low expectations, says John Anza. Should be the motto for DFS. Jackson Holiday, Jordan Westburg, Gunnar Henderson. Some quality for fair prices up at the top of the Orioles lineup. 110, 118 WRC plus marks for Westburg and Henderson. Holiday just under that at 97, but he's pulled his career together a little bit here in year two. 245, 316, 381. Just a 136 ISO, but came away with 17 homers, 17 steals. He's made himself interesting, be a part of the plans going forward, and was a very, very high-end prospect, so it's nice to see him delivering. Most notably, I think, cut the strikeout from 33% to 21.9. Tyler O'Neill, 3,500 2,500, 2,900, plenty of power in playing in Yankee Stadium. But righties, you tend to defer to lefty bats in Yankee Stadium. That said, with his power, if he just lofts a lazy fly ball into right field, it's going to get out if he goes the other way. The danger with O'Neill is that if he pulls it and just jacks one towards Death Valley in left center, then it's a longer proposition to get that home run. But monster power out of O'Neill. Runs a little bit when he's healthy. Right now, sub Mendoza, sub 300 on base, not good. 88 WRC plus. He's missed most of the season, but an elite 17.1% barrel. Dylan Beavers, up and down. Medium high strikeout, but a ton of walks so far, over 127 plate appearances, keeping the on base up at 389, 347 xWOBA because he's carrying a solid 8.2% barrel, but just a 27.4% hard hit is a little weird. But a very playable piece, a 136 WRC plus so far, mostly based on that on base. Adley at 38.25, pretty mix and matchy right now. 357 pretty weak plate appearances, 9 home runs on 93 WRC plus. Nice to see him back in the lineup, though. Colton Cowser, 34.28, 16 homers, 14 steals. Sub Mendoza's 275 on base, 86 WRC plus. Fell apart this season. Still maintaining premium contact, 13.5% barrel, 46.6% hard hit. This, and from a lefty, plays nicely against this in Yankee Stadium. Just something to keep in mind. Samuel Basallo at 33.24 has made decent contact so far. It's resulted in 4 home runs and 111 plate appearances. He got the monster extension already for, coming up as a top-end prospect. They locked down his arbitration years and everything. Got himself paid. Needs to perform a little bit better than this, but the power's nice to see in the first 111 plate appearances from such a high-end young prospect, especially a catcher. Kobe Mayo, 23-24, mix and match quality. On the Yankee side, Paul Goldschmidt is one of the elite hitters in all of baseball when measured against left-handed pitching. Against righties, he's suffered throughout the year. But for a matchup against the lefty in the leadoff spot, hitting ahead of Aaron Judge at 36.27, that is a fantastic option. Even just the full numbers, he's been not bad. It's just his numbers go way, way up against lefties overall. Judge is Judge. You just rock and roll with him. 10 plus in the home run model. He's got 51 on the season. One of 4 players all time to have 50 plus home runs more than 4 or more times in their career. It's Judge, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, and the Bambino. Cody Bellinger, 5,000, 3,600. No worries, lefty there. You can absolutely go to Belly. Fantastic season, 29 homers, 13 steals, a 331 on base, a 124 WRC plus. Giancarlo, elite power, 21.1% hard barrels, 54.4% hard hits, 21 homers in just 269 plate appearances. Extrapolate to 500 plus, and that's a ridiculous season for power. 297 ISO. Ahmed Rosario, Austin Slater in the lineup because they're right-handed and they hit well against lefties. Mix and match pieces both, but it gives you a couple offsets for price in the heart of this Yankees lineup now across different positions. You also get Anthony Volpe to do a fairly cheap price at shortstop, 34.27. He's not very good, but he does fill counting stats. 19 homers, 18 steals, just an 84 WRC plus, though. Austin Wells is a very affordable catcher for a guy with 21 home runs, over 441 plate appearances, makes very good contact from the left side, cheap. Jose Caballero at 41.28, mix and match quality, but a ton of stolen base upside, so you get a little bonus scoring, and he's also good at getting on base, so you wrap him back around to the fantastic options up top. I like Caballero a lot at the bottom. 41 is a little pricey, 28 on FanDuel with all those positions is not. Yankees bat, speaking of Yankee slobber. I'll go twice. Will Warren. And that's mostly because Trevor Rogers is just so high priced and he's overperforming throughout the season, but he's been good. Would not surprise me at all if he continues this elite performance tonight against these Yankees. Bug flying around here. So Rogers and then Orioles bats after. Will Warren mostly value base. I think the Rays lineup came in. It did. Chandler Simpson up top, which is good. Could really use in the Dynasty League Chandler Simpson to have one of his, I went out and stole 5 bases today kind of games. I feel like he slowed down quite a bit in the second half. 43 stolen bases on the year, over 431 plate appearances. Still fantastic. Five steals in the month of September. $11 since the beginning of August. It's a little lighter pace. That's what Chandler Simpson is here for. He's very good. He's got a great hit tool. Rookie season, 300, 331, 349. He has absolutely no power. He might never barrel a ball. He might never hit a home run that's not an inside the Parker. But he might also be the fastest man in baseball, and he runs when he gets on most of the time. It's a great table setting option. Good for some bonus scoring. Low strikeout, low walk, a lot of balls in play, some base hits. Capable of drawing the walk, but not part of his game, really. Yandy Diaz, 46, 31, 25 home runs, a 366 on base is pretty elite. Brendan Lau, 31 home runs. And then Junior Caminero, I feel like we've slowed down a little tiny bit over the last 2 weeks maybe, but 44 home runs, a 270 ISO, just a ridiculous season from such a young player. Sub 20% strikeout to go with that. 13.9% barrel, absolutely ludicrous numbers out of Junior. 55-37, reasonably priced for all that. 4,300, 2,600 for Jonathan Aranda, who hits the ball very, very hard from the left side. Definitely in play if you're going to the Rays. 12.4% barrel out of him. 12 home runs in 409 plate appearances, just a 162 ISO. Doesn't really align with that quality of contact, but he's also got a tremendous slash line from that. 316, 394, 478, creating runs 43% better than average. So interesting bat here. Jake Mangum, Josh Lowe, Carson Williams, and Hunter Fiducia down lineup. Lowe is the best player in that group, even though he's had a bad year. 11 home runs, 18 steals, mix and match quality, 80 WRC plus. Mangum is a quad A player who is hit for average throughout the season, gotten on base adequately, but just a 97 WRC plus, no real power to speak of. He's just a guy. Carson Williams is a high-end prospect, but he hasn't delivered much of anything other than 5 home runs with a 207 ISO over 94 plate appearances. So if we're just home run hunting, so be it. He's a cheap shortstop and that works, but not really an appealing, reliable type option right now. And then Fiducia is a nothing bat at the bottom of the lineup. With all that said, all of those guys are going up against Shane Bieber, who's been pretty elite since returning. 6 starts, 24.8% strikeout against just 3.6% walk, a 3.57 ERA, a 3.08 xFIP, 12.6% swinging, a sub-1 whip. That is tremendous. Still allowed a little bit of barrel in there, though. 12.4% with 47.4 on the hard hit, 92.9 on the exit velo, 4% home runs. Maybe the Rays find a little power against. That's where I would lean into Junior, Brendan Lau, Jonathan Aranda, and probably Yandy Diaz as a 4-man. And then you bolt on Chandler Simpson for your 5th probably on DraftKings. You can't have Aranda and Yandy on DraftKings, though. That sucks. Can on FanDuel, obviously, but forgot about the positional blocker there. So that makes them even less appealing. They're a quality lineup. They would be on a short list of reasonably talented teams in a contrarian sense, but I just have on a shade slate this way, I just really have very little desire to attack Bieber here when he's the top projected pitcher of the day. Going the other direction, though, Blue Jays bats very much in play against the Adrian Hauser here. The Adrian Hauser. Give him a title. I don't know why. 3.18 ERA, 4.30 xFIP, 17% strikeouts. There's really nothing special there. Every now and then he can break off a capable start, 6-7 in clean innings, but you don't get a ton of upside. Peaks around 7 strikeouts in a good day. Last 2 starts, just 2 strikeouts in each, over 6 innings against the Red Sox and against the Cubs. He did find 9 against the White Sox and 8 against the Mariners, the 2 starts prior to that to begin September. But that was after a run of 15 or so starts in which he didn't strike out more than 6. At best, he's a $7,100 SP2 dart on DraftKings. He is not in play on FanDuel at 84. On the Blue Jays, George Springer, tremendous year. 31 homers, 16 steals, a 162 WRC plus, sub 20% strikeout, 11.5% walk. Nathan Lukes has been holding that spot down fairly well. 11 home runs in 428 is not exactly spectacular, and it's miscast for a 2-hitter, but he's been working out as far as the on-base. 321 on base is okay. 100 WRC plus is not exactly what you want, but it's okay. He's very, very cheap. He hits between Springer and Vladdy Guerrero, the hitters that we actually want. Vladdy is only 49 on DraftKings, which is stupid. He should never be below 5. 36 on FanDuel. Just 23 home runs and a 179 ISO. The power has kind of slipped, as we've talked about all season long. It's not because of a lack of barrels or hard hits, though. It's just an output thing. 402 xWOB under the surface kind of tells that story. 140 WRC plus. He's been tremendous regardless. Addison Barger's found a bunch of barrels and hard hits on the season. He's got 20 home runs. The quality's dipped a little bit recently. Struggling to find it again. 207 ISO on the season, though. It's going to end up looking like a pretty solid year. Very, very playable for 42 for 3,000 at third base. Alejandro Kirk at 35. Mandatory if you're going to Blue Jays almost on DraftKings. That is a great price for a guy slashing 280, 348, 401 with a 111 WRC+. He's got a dozen home runs. Power's not really his game, but he's been hitting the ball hard all season. 9.5% barrel, 50% hard hit. You can find some home run upside. You're more likely to find a little extra base hit. 11.1% strikeout, 9.7% walk. Does a little bit of everything for such a cheap price where you have to play the position. Dalton Varsho's just hit for power all year. 20 home runs in just 259 plate appearances, rivaling Giancarlo Stanton's pace. He is not that guy, but he's been playing like that guy for a minute. You can go there at 43 at 35 to attack Adrian Hauser for sure. He's a high priority bat in this lineup today. I don't love the price on FanDuel. I like it a lot better on DK. Anthony Santander, big pickup for this team in the offseason. Completely disappointed, then was hurt. Over 215 plate appearances, 180, 274, 302, 6 home runs. He has historically been much, much better than that. They were expecting a 30 home run guy. Absolutely in play for a cheap price at 28-24. If you're going to Blue Jays, that's a high priority bat because that is a good hitter. Just going through it early this season, then was hurt. Dude hit 44 home runs last year, 28 the year before, 33 the year before that. I don't think he's just dead. Ernie Clement, solid contact hitter, cheap. And Andres Jimenez, not quite that. He's entirely skippable at the bottom, just a spot filler. Shane Bieber, Blue Jays bats, Rays bats, but very limited dart throws. And then Adrian Hauser, if you want him, is only a DraftKings option as a cheap SP2 dart. Sproat. Over his first 3 starts, 23.4% strikeouts. Too many walks so far, but a 3.94 ERA and a much better 3.26 xFIP is very interesting. Stuff Plus really likes the arsenal. It's been limiting barrels, checking launch angles, so that has a big impact on any Marlins home run upside. Like the kid, like the upside for him. 7,300 is the correct price on DraftKings because we just don't fully know yet, but all signs point to good pitcher. On FanDuel, 87 feels a little bit beefy. 6 1/3 of 2-run ball against KC the last time out, struck out 4, but gave up 2 home runs. He's given up at least 1 home run in each of the last 3, but he's gotten into the 6th inning in every single start he's made out of the 6 starts. So a pretty good sign. They're not exactly handling him with kid gloves here. Against the low-end Marlins, there's plenty of upside. They're pulling a 4+ implied total, though. I would put them on the board for maybe frisky low-end, low-ranked teams. Jacob Marcy, Augustino Ramirez, Xavier Edwards would be priorities up toward the top of that lineup. And then maybe we get interesting with some cheap guys down bottom. But if we're looking at bats in this game, it's much more about the Mets. As mentioned, though, Sandy has really rounded into form. 6 2/3 last time out. He gave up 3 earned runs, but he struck out 8, came on 2 home runs and a pair of walks. Home run allowed, but only 2 runs, 4 hits over 7 against Detroit. Struck out 8 in that one as well. 4 earned runs in a 6-inning game against Philly was his worst recent game. He only struck out 4 in that one, but a 6 strikeout game against the Mets the game before that. 7 innings against Atlanta, 7 strikeouts. 7 innings against the Cards, 9 strikeouts. 6 innings against Boston at Fenway on August 15th, 7 strikeouts. Since that start, essentially, he has been mostly back. So I think at 7,000, this is a very appealing SP2 option, even against a good team like this, pulling a good total like that. At 82, I think he's a playable option considering the fact that we've got 7 innings easily visible out of Sandy basically every time he takes the mound. But again, it is more about the Mets bats. If I'm going to, if I can only pick one thing out of this game, Mets bats. Frankie Lindor off the top, 57-39, reasonable for a guy with 30 homers, 31 stolen bases, a 196 ISO. PCA got to the 30-30 mark, by the way. He had his home run today. We were talking about that throughout the last month or so. So Lindor, just one of the elite shortstop options on any given slate. 127 WRC plus, steals bases, hits home runs. Juan Soto, just one of the best bats in all of baseball, or the best bat. 43 home runs, 36 stolen bases on the season, kind of out of nowhere. 266 ISO, 157 WRC plus, utterly fantastic. Brendan Nimmo at 42-32, lefty bat with 25 home runs on the board, a little bit of power there. Just a 177 ISO. That doesn't necessarily match his premium contact. The barrels dipped slightly year over year, but the hard hits went up. That's a high quality, low strikeout lefty bat to throw into the mix here against Sandy. Pete Alonso, 37 home runs for the Polar Bear this year, 248 ISO, 140 WRC plus, and a nice 400 xWOBA sitting under the surface, meaning there's a little bit more to give. 271, 346, 520, though. Just an all-around great season out of Alonso. Jeff McNeil, mix and match slap hitter type, but a 339 on base. Can get it done. High walk, low strikeout is a fair combination for just contributing correlated scoring. Brett Beatty's very interesting, given how hard he hits the ball. 12.5% barrels out of him. 18 home runs in 431. We've talked about him throughout the season. Frankie Alvarez, 11 home runs in just 265 plate appearances now. 200 ISO, 12.7% barrel. The kid's looking really, really good. 3,200 where you have to play catchers, 28 where you don't. That is a good option. Ced Mullins, mix and match quality at this point. 17 homers, 22 steals. Always good for counting stats, but no real reliability there. And then Luis Torrens is an interesting catcher option. Just a lot of barrels and hard hits throughout the season. Hasn't resulted in basically any offensive output somehow, but he has hit the ball very squarely all season long. Again, if you're going Marlins against Sproat, Marcy is a priority at 45-35. Having a great start to his career, over 222 plate appearances, 5 home runs and 13 steals. The power cooled off a little bit, but the slash lines held up nicely. 142 WRC plus as the sample size expands. Agustin Ramirez has 21 home runs, 14 stolen bases, fills in the catcher spot pretty nicely with a bunch of counting stats across all categories. 186 ISO, 92 WRC plus, but a very nice 344 xWOBA lurking under the surface to tell us that he's got some more to give. Xavier Edwards typically hits for average right now, 279, 338, 350. There's some good, there's some bad in there. He can get on base. He could steal you a base, but he hasn't been running nearly as much in the second half or basically throughout all this year as he did last year. So it's kind of surprising to see him only at 26. He's only got a couple stolen bases over the last few weeks. Mix and match quality guy, 3-spot in the lineup. It's perfectly fine to go there if you're going to the Marlins, but he's not really a reason to go to the Marlins. He's just a slap hitting type. Liam Hicks, mix and match quality, 29, 25. I'm taking a catcher here. I want Agustin Ramirez. You do have first base on Hicks. He's just okay, though, not really a priority. Otto Lopez at 36 at 3,000, middle infield, 15 homers, 15 steals. It's been a nice year for Otto, but again, not really a priority. Does have a good 341 xWOB under the surface. That's appealing. 87 WRC plus, not so much. Griff Conine at 27-22, very cheap. He's got a pair of home runs in 80 plate appearances, 111 WRC plus. Would be in consideration for an outfield share just because he's so cheap from the left side. Troy Johnston has a little bit of pop in that bat, though. That would be a more appealing option than Griff Conine, 28-24 for him. Solid slash line, over 115 chances in the show, 4 home runs on the board, just a 151 ISO, but making very good contact. And again, good minor league numbers for power. Heriberto Hernandez, 11.3% barrel, 45.8% hard hit, over 283 plate appearances, 10 home runs on the board. Another reasonable option from down lineup. And then Graham Pauley, highly regarded kid, found some struggles over the last year plus, but has put up some good numbers on the way up to this point. So I still have faith there. The last time we talked about him, he went out and hit a home run that day. He's got 4 on the season, over 178 plate appearances, not making very good contact at all. Does have a good 11.2% walk against a good 20.2% strikeout. There's appeal there, and nobody's going to play Graham Pauley. So if I'm going Marlins, I like, top 3 there, and then I kind of like the bottom 3. So any combination of those 6 guys, I think, kind of works for just a cheapo angle at a pitcher that probably gets used a little bit at 73. Less so on FanDuel just because I think Sproat will be less popular. Mets bats, Sandy. Marlins bats, Sproat on DraftKings, Sproat on FanDuel. Rangers is in. So Jack Leiter, 7,800, 8,500. Like it quite a bit better on FanDuel or on DraftKings rather. It's had a okay season. Showing some signs of quality. 3.92 ERA is all right. 4.64 xFIP, not so much. 22.3% strikeouts, all right. 10.6% walk, problematic. A lot of swinging strikes, but not enough on the CSW. Way too many barrels. Way too many hard hits. Too much exit velo. All 3 of those numbers are above our threshold. Somehow holding on to just 2.74% home runs, which is a pretty tidy rate. 107 marked by Stuff Plus. We like the arsenal. Just got to put it all together. Guardians pulling a 4.15 implied total against them. I think that's entirely realistic. They've got a couple of appealing bats through the middle here. interesting mixer with George Valera in that spot at 32 at 23 on FanDuel. You can see he's pulling a little bit of power upside. He's got 2 home runs in his 42 plate appearances and 222 ISO. He's made okay contact so far. We'll see where it goes. Just an interesting spot in that lineup to go to somebody who's not Steven Kwan. Steven Kwan's a great table setter, but so far this kid in 42 plate appearances is matching his on base. Not that that's at all indicative of anything. Down lineup, we get some premium contact options. All 3 of these guys have barreled the ball throughout the season. Not one of them is reliable. Not one of them is a guaranteed home run, even if he finds the barrel. They're just okay. They're mix and match quality. It's a weird Guardians team. They win ball games. They're a contender. But that's not a great lineup. It's really not. There's one superstar. No stars. You'd call it, an A+, a couple of B-. That's about it. Kyle Manzardo's turning into something slowly. 26 home runs, 217 ISO. Kid's supposed to be good. He's shown a lot this year. 11.4% barrel, 43.4% hard hit. But 232, 312, 449. Nothing to write home about. Just a 328 xWOBA. 111 WRC plus. Again, a lot of quality there. Absolute priority in Kyle Manzardo if you're going to this team. Call him a B right now. It's not a great lineup. On the other side, the Rangers going up against Slate Ciccone. Ciccone coming in with a 20.1% strikeout against a nice walk rate, 4.15 ERA, 4.07 xFIP. Very average, fourth starter type. Gives up a lot of premium contact, though. I think that puts the Rangers on the board. You can see some of it coming through in the home run model. But over 22 starts, Ciccone's allowing a 12.1% barrel, 50.1% hard hits, 91.9 miles an hour of exit velo, and a 4.36% home run. Every one of those marks is dramatically above our threshold. 8,000, 8,800 for Ciccone. He projects out well on some strikeout upside. He's been better for strikeout in years past. I think. Memory serves. Maybe not. Thought he had been. I was wrong. Lower for strikeout the last 2 years. Mid-20s in the minors. I don't know why I was thinking he had a little bit more strikeout on him than that. Maybe it was from earlier in this year. Regardless, that just takes him down a peg even further. I'm kind of interested in some Rangers as a sneaky contrarian team. I love Jock Peterson against any righty, and especially one that gives up this kind of contact. I'm kind of in on that spot now, 3,000, 2,800, especially if you're going to knock the strikeout down some. I know Jock's been awful over 300 plate appearances, dramatically sub Mendoza at sub 300 on base, 74 WRC plus, just a 150 ISO. Even the power's been light. But this is one of the elite left-handed platoon power hitters in baseball over the last half dozen years. Cody Freeman at 28-24, mix and match quality, 3 home runs, a 129 ISO, and 108 plate appearances. Not that interesting, a spot filler for cheap prices. But Josh Young is kind of interesting. He's hit the ball hard all season, hasn't seen great results. 14 home runs, a 139 ISO, bad slash line, 90 WRC plus, but good contact, and has had better seasons than this. Rowdy Tellez is very, very cheap for a guy who hits the ball like that. Even if it's just to get to Tellez and Peterson. I like those 2 big lefty bats for cheap prices against a pitcher who's given up this much premium contact. 16 home runs and 307 plate appearances for Rowdy. He's over a 200 ISO, 334 xWOBA. He's been good when he's been out there. He's never a reliable hitter. That's not what we're looking for. Just about the power upside. He's not even a 3-2 outcomes guy because he doesn't draw a walk. Ezekiel Duran, mix and match. Alejandro Osuna, kind of similar. Lefty bat with a little bit of pop in it, but mix and match quality right now. Jonah Heim, kind of interesting. Showing a fair home run number, 11 on the board. Very cheap at the catcher spot if you're playing on DK. Billy McKinney, dead min price on DraftKings, 2,100 on FanDuel. Not a high-end option. Not really a lot of sample in the last few years. 147 plate appearances back in 2023 at a 180 ISO, 6 home runs. Once upon a time was a fairly highly regarded prospect. Has kicked around. He's getting to the point where he's been on so many teams. Never got to more than 12 home runs in the show. Mid-board type power in the minors as well. 16 home runs in 339 plate appearances, 16 in 500. But good average hitter, good on base numbers, good ISO to go with it, low strikeout, low medium walk rates, pushing into double-digit walk rates in some stops, actually in a lot of stops. So absolutely a quad A player, 31 years old now, but capable quad A type guy with some reasonable skill sets that we can target when he comes in at the dead min price against a pitcher like this. He's also left-handed. It's a little tiny bit of pop in that bat. So don't sleep on McKinney down bottom of the lineup. And then Michael Hellman. He's got 5 home runs in 97 plate appearances, stolen a few bases. It's been at least interesting as a mixer for DFS. No promises on quality, and he's 38-26 versus the min pricing on McKinney. But it's just like a contrarian approach. Like 1, 2. I want to fill out a little connection in here. McKinney's good enough at getting on, in theory, that you could consider him a wraparound from the 8. So you can go back up here and play like Young. You can get Osuna in there maybe for a little connectivity. That's a 5-man stack that costs $2,640 a piece, $2,700 a piece. Put that together with that $4,000 pitcher, you can buy literally whatever you want. You probably have money left over no matter what else you put in that lineup. And it's not completely unreasonable. Again, this is not a high priority stack. This is just a value option against a guy who gives up tons and tons of power with a couple power bats. I talked through part of the Guardians, but again, your priorities are Jose Ramirez and Kyle Manzardo. After that, Bo, don't call me Noah Naylor. Learned that yesterday. 14 home runs, a 182 ISO. It's a mixer at catcher, not much more than that. No consistency, no reliability. Valera, again, is kind of an interesting mixer for cheap price in the 2 spot. Quan is playable as a table setter. Gabriel Arias hits the ball hard, 11.5% barrels for him. Daniel Schneemann, same thing, 11.5% barrels, 42% hard hits for each guy, 11 and 12 home runs, but total lack of consistency when it comes to the slash lines. These are bad slash lines, 76 and 83 WRC+. That's what I mean when I say this is not really a good lineup. CJ Keifa's been okay in his first 132 plate appearances, 4 homers, 4 steals. I think that's what we focus on. And then Brian Rocchio mostly here for defense. Man, tough spot to rank. Jack Leiter? I'm going to call the bats like a tie. I don't really agree with that Vegas total. Not that Texas is any good. And again, this is a low-end version of their bad lineup. Yeah, all right. Guardians, we'll give Vegas their respect. Leiter, Guardians, Ciccone, Rangers. Or Rangers, actually Rangers, Ciccone. I might even lower that Ciccone projection a little bit. Not that there's a lot of time left. Tigers and the Bo Sox. We've got one game separating these teams for the wild card. Red Sox up a game for the second wild card. A little bit of clearance. Astros are a game back of the Tigers for the third wild card. So critically important series for those 3 teams. And just getting these 2 showing down over the weekend. We're going to get Scooble on Sunday, most likely. Just going to be a fun series. But we start out with Casey Mize against Kyle Harrison. Kind of a lower-end pitching matchup. But Mize has been good. 21.7% strikeout, 3.91 ERA, 4.04 xFIP. Mostly average numbers, but quality. And an average pitcher can give you 10, 15 very, very good starts throughout the season. It's just a tough opponent in the Red Sox. 4.66 implied total for them at home in Fenway today. A lot of high-quality lefty bats in that lineup. Just a lot of good bats overall. So not a safe spot for Mize at 77 as an SP2. Just a mixer, 5-10%. Maybe you could go that route. 89 on FanDuel. I don't think you want any part of it. Seems like a stretch for him to hit that value on that price. 69 for Kyle Harrison. He's pitched to a 23.4% strikeout over 5 starts, 32 2/3, a 3.58 ERA, 3.98 xFIP. As recently as the beginning of last season, one of the most highly regarded left-handed pitching prospects in baseball, just hasn't really found a ton of upside at the major league level, but does have quality, 12.6% swinging strike rate so far this season in the small sample, does have tons and tons of talent. Last time out, went 6, struck out 5, walked 2, gave up 1 earned run on 4 hits against the Rays. Could replicate a start like that, even against the high-quality Tigers team, but it's just another spot where I feel like, why do we want to tangle with a playoff contending Tigers team that's pulling a 4.43 implied total? It just doesn't seem right. Johnny Jones, the top of the Tigers lineup against the lefty. Solid option at 35.26. Holding down a good slash line, 7 home runs. A lot of work against left-handed pitching as a platoon option. 395 xWOBA under the surface at 268 ISO. Definitely some thunder in that bat against in the split. So very high priority bat up top. Gleyber Torres, excellent option. Low strikeout, super high walk, 16 home runs, a 134 ISO. Not a ton of power on display from Gleyber, but capable home run hitter when he needs to be situationally. A 377 xWOBA under the surface and a 115 WRC plus. Been tremendous. Wensil Perez, 3,800, 2,900, 13 home runs and 370 chances, a 193 ISO. Plenty of power out of him. That's a reasonable option for a cheap price. Spencer Torkelson is only 4,000. He has 31 home runs and a 220 ISO this year, and he's only 4,000. I don't get it. 3,200 on FanDuel is also kind of cheap. 10.26 in the home run model. Take advantage. Riley Green against this lefty, I'm not going to sweat that much. 4,900, 3,400. He's got 36 home runs this year, a 238 ISO, a 124 WRC plus. Pretty tremendous. Andy Banez, Dylan Dingler. Mix and match quality, a little bit better than that on the Dingler side of it. He's a reasonably good catcher. 3,600 is cheap for a guy. He's got 13 home runs, a solid slash line, just a 150 ISO, a 108 WRC plus. Good, not great, but a solid contributor. Good barrels, good hard hits. Parker Meadows from the left side, mix and matchy. 210, 284, 331, a 72 WRC plus, and gets a lefty at least to start. And then Javier, apparently Ednel Baez. If you weren't here yesterday, we got all of the real names for a bunch of players from Fantasy Labs in the morning for some reason. And then they switched it just before lock to the correct names, or the names that we're used to. So like Bo Naylor was in there as Noah Naylor, all kinds of nonsense just to make my day a little bit longer. On the Red Sox side, Jarren Duran up top. Interesting option. A lot of extra base hits. 16 homers, 24 steals. Solid on base. Great contributor of runs. 112 WRC plus. Trevor Story's done nothing but hit the ball hard all season. Look at the counting stats from Story. I know people don't really like him. I know they're looking for reasons to drag him down and say that he's not good. But 91 runs, 96 ribbies from a middle infielder. It's fantastic. 25 homers, 31 stolen bases. Just a 172 ISO, I get it. Just a 319 xWOBA, but look, I get it completely. There are reasons to criticize under the surface. Doesn't really draw that many walks. Doesn't get on base nearly as much as he should. But if we're just looking for what scores for DFS, if we're just looking for how he strikes the baseball with his bat, he's been tremendous. 48-36, entirely fair. Alex Bregman at 47-34, a little bit cheap for the quality. It's been a weaker second half than the first half after the injury, but definitely an interesting bat. 18 home runs, a 189 ISO, 125 WRC plus. Good run creator, whether or not he's hitting for power. Masataka Yoshida at 33-28, very, very cheap in the heart of the lineup. Good line drive hitter, good at churning the lineup, keeping things rolling. Romy Gonzalez has made a bunch of premium contact all season long, 12.3% barrel, 57.2% hard hit, holding down a great slash line. It's resulted in 9 home runs, a 180 ISO. Good, not great power bat, but a good extra base hitter, and just a good hitter in general against righties and lefties, it turns out. Ceddanne Raphael, another guy, great for counting stats. Weak for everything else, 290 on base, doesn't pay the bills, 88 WRC plus. Nathaniel, don't call me Nate Lowe's real name, is apparently David. 18 home runs for him on the board. 6.9% barrel, 41% hard hit, a 153 ISO. It's been an okay season. He's lost a lot around the edges in average and on base, though, which is impacting his overall quality. It's more of just a lefty, infrequent power hitter now. Willie Abreu is a really interesting power bat from the left side, though, to throw at Casey Mize here. 12.6% barrels, 22 home runs on the board at 229 ISO, 406 plate appearances, been in and out of the lineup after returning from the injured list a couple days ago. Definitely an interesting bat, hiding down the bottom of the lineup and very, very cheap now. If I'm going Red Sox, that is a priority, and he's only 25 on FanDuel. That's a spectacular FanDuel one-off, even if you're not playing Red Sox. 2,500 is stupid cheap for that hitter. And Carlos Narvaez has found barrels and hard hits all year long. A little bit better as far as output than, the Mets catcher, doing similar things up there. 240, 307, 422, and 98 WRC plus. Also lacks consistency, but he's found more home runs. He's found more output for offense. This goes Red Sox bats, Tigers bats, Casey Mize, Kyle Harrison. The pitchers are far less playable, but Casey Mize on DraftKings would be at least a consideration. Not a good consideration, but he'd be, I'd be remiss to take him out of a player pool. Let's put it that way. But I don't really want all that much of him either. Mitch Keller last time out, 5 innings, 4 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. Start before that, 5 1/3, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. 6 1/3, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. You see the pattern forming here. Mitch, not a great season. 19.7% strikeouts, 6.3% walk. As a ratio, that's okay, but not good. 4.22 ERA, 4.14 xFIP. Again, okay, but not good. If he's your 5th starter, fine. If he's your number 2, like he is for the Pirates, or number 3 with the kids now up, that's pretty bad. A lot of premium contact available. Braves have plenty of power in this lineup to exploit that premium contact. 4.75 implied total puts them firmly on the board. Joey Wentz is on the mound for them. Not typically a pitcher that we're looking to get to. 21.2% strikeouts, but way too many walks at 9.8%. A lot of barrels and hard hits allowed, a lot of exit velo, even though it hasn't resulted in a bunch of home runs. It should have. So he's lucky to be at a 2.38% home run. He's got a 1.52 whip. There's a lot of problems with Joey Wentz. But he's facing the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they're at a sub-4 implied total. It gives them at least a little bit of lingering quality. There's a lot of strikeout in this lineup. Wentz has given us a few okay outings. Last time out against Detroit, much, much better team. 2 earned runs on 6 hits, struck out 7 and walked 2. That's a reasonably good performance. A couple short starts where he gave up a few runs. One, he threw a bunch of pitches. Going back to the 27th of August against Miami, 6 2/3, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. 1 run on 4 hits. We'll take that. Reasonably comparable start against Cleveland, 2 starts prior to that. So against the low-end teams, he can find quality. He's 6,000 on DraftKings. He's 8,000 on FanDuel. You want to get really stupid about things? I don't think it's out of the question to do this and spend 10,000 at pitcher on DraftKings. Probably not a great idea. You've got to absolutely drill the bats. But I don't think it's not as out of the question as it might otherwise be, or as just seeing those prices would suggest. If I just said, hey, I'm playing a $4,000 and a $6,000 pitcher on DraftKings with no context, it would be crazy. Those aren't the 2 pitchers I would pick for that spot by a long stretch, but they are the 2 opponents I would pick. The Pirates and the Rockies. Absolutely. The 2 opponents you would pick for that. Bottom 2 teams. If you're going to Pirates bats against Joey Wentz, which is also not completely unreasonable, Jared Triolo up at the top. Reasonable bat from the right side against lefties. Having a pretty weak year, over 362 chances, 87 WRC plus, but a slightly above average 324 xWOBA speaks to the quality. He's a little bit better than he's been. He's very cheap. He's a spot filler across multiple positions. Nick Gonzalez, not the hitter that Triolo is in the long term, I don't think, but better this year. 261, 301, 364. Just a 302 xWOBA, though, speaks to the difference in my mind. Brian Reynolds, 10% barrel, 45% hard hits, resulted in 16 home runs at 158 ISO, his weakest season in recent memory, but a priority if you're going to the Pirates. Andrew McCutcheon's also a priority, 35-28, still getting on base at a 332 clip. The old man's still good. 95 WRC plus, but a 347 xWOBA under the surface. Needs a little more help from his friends to find some quality. Spencer Harwitz at 37-29, solid 400 plate appearances, 264, 343, 413. Nothing to complain about there. 110 WRC plus. Good run creator, good correlated scorer. Not a ton of individual contributions, but a little bit of pop in that bat. Tommy Pham, mix and match quality, 9 home runs, 5 steals over 439, nothing special there. Alex Canario is interesting, 12.5% barrel rate in his 229 plate appearances. It's resulted in only 6 home runs, a 123 ISO, but there's definitely more power there. A lot of strikeouts there, but this is not a particularly high-end strikeout pitcher. Nick Yorkie down here, 2,200, 2,100, mix and match quality at the absolute best. And then Henry Davis from the right side, same deal. Sub Mendoza, 230 on base over 275 plate appearances. He's not going to get it done. Brave side, Jerickson Profar up top, 47-38. Look how pricey Jerickson Profar has gotten. Holy hell. 254, 360, 450. He's been very good at getting on base, creating runs, 14 homers and 9 steals in just 358 plate appearances. He's been undeniably good. Came right back to the level he was at last season, basically. So just is this good? Definitely playable at the top of the lineup. But I'd rather prioritize some of the guys that I think are underpriced down lineup, like Michael Harris and Marcell Ozuna, maybe Ha-Sung Kim. Matty Olson is a must if you're going to this team. 5,000, 3,800, 28 home runs, a 209 ISO. Nice surge over the last few weeks to normalize the numbers for power. Not get them where they ought to be, but normalize them somewhat. You can see where the barrels and the hard hits are. They look like 2 years ago when he hit 50 plus. We're half that this season, but still much better looking output overall over 712 plate appearances. Ronald Acuna, 20 home runs, 8 steals, and 399 chances of 226 ISO. Just an utter superstar. You play him in anything you're doing with the Braves. Drake Baldwin at 42, 27, 19 home runs from the left side and 11% barrel. Nearly a 50% hard hit in his rookie season, a 190 ISO, 124 WRC plus. Kid's been really good and still pretty cheap where you have to play the position. That's a good consideration. Kim, 3,500, 2,800 has been pretty good since joining the Braves. 253, 18, 369 overall, 5 home runs, 6 stolen bases on the season. Last year, mostly lost season, 11 homers, 22 steals, but a weak slash line. Did come up to a 101 WRC plus. The year before that, though, was very good. 260, 351, 398, a 112 WRC plus, 17 homers, and 38 stolen bases. That was the Ha-Sung Kim that the Padres originally? I've lost track. Whoever signed him originally out of the KBO thought that they were getting. That's been the one season where we've really seen that guy, but he's shown flashes here and there throughout, and he's very, very playable at those prices at second base or at shortstop on FanDuel, shortstop only on DraftKings. Michael Harris at 34, Marcell Ozuna at 37, 29, 3,000 for those players on FanDuel. 19 home runs, 20 stolen bases out of Harris, 21 home runs, and a 358 on base out of Ozuna. Even with diminishment in quality, all of that is factored into those low prices. These are correct prices for the seasons they're having, and we know there's ridiculous ceiling on both of those guys on any given slate. I would be saying similar things about Ozzy Albies, but he's hurt. Nacho Alvarez at 26, 25, 243, 01, 341. Mix and match quality so far, but a reasonably good hit tool. He's been not really drawing walks, not really limiting strikeouts effectively, not finding good contact, just a mixer, and I don't love the third base positioning. Much more appealing in the middle infield. And then Brett Wisely on this team, 28, 22, mix and match quality across any of those positions. This very much goes Braves bats, Joey Wentz, Mitch Keller, Pirates bats. Michael Knack looking for the Brewers to clinch the best record in baseball tonight. The Mets are gutless. It's been a weird season for the Mets, for the Dodgers, with some of the up and down. Jake Swales was saying about 40 minutes ago, Simpson isn't even supposed to be hitting fly balls, but that man is just a good ball player. Chandler, I assume we're talking about there. Yeah, just put him on the Willie Mays Hayes plan, right? Every time you hit the ball in the air, you owe me 15 push-ups. That's essentially who he is. Willie Mays Hayes. Dude can fly. 100 stolen bases in the minor leagues last year. I picked him up at the end of last season in the Dynasty League as a $1 15th round keeper just for this year to just have that ludicrous stolen base upside. Didn't even know if he was going to be on the team. You probably remember we talked about it back at the beginning of the season. I was calling for him to come up. Milwaukee's in. Beautiful. A couple of high-quality bats up the top of this Brewers lineup. Big fan of Christian Yelich over the years. You guys have heard me rant and rave about him for a long time now. Just elite contact year after year after year. This year, the strikeouts have gone up, but he's brought it down somewhat from the peak. It was in the 28 range for a while there. Still drawing his walks at 10%, but that's down a couple of points year over year. But 29 home runs, nice resurgence of power, 16 stolen bases, a 344 on base, 123 WRC plus. Been outstanding this year. And only 5,000, 3,800, honestly. A little bit cheap across, at least on DraftKings. 38, you could easily go 4. Jackson Chourio, though, 4,700, 3,600, definitely inexpensive on DK. He's got 20 home runs, 19 stolen bases, a very solid 575 plate appearances in his sophomore season. Next year is going to be the big breakout, I think, for the kid. Just absurd talent. There's no way they're going to keep him down. And this has not been a bad season, But wait till you see what's coming. 190 ISO this year. Bryce Turank's found some power this season too. 18 home runs, 24 stolen bases, a solid 357 on base. But he's found a little bit with the 18 home runs. He found an uptick in barrels, nearly quadrupled the barrel rate year over year. 29% hard hits, went up to 47% this year. And it's not an outlier. We're talking about 646 plate appearances. Been very real. William Contreras, solid as far as the contact goes, 17 home runs. Very good catcher number, 655 everyday plate appearances at the catcher position. That is fantastic. 4,500, 3,200 is reasonably priced for the quality that you get there. Sal Frelick at 4,000 at 31, 12 home runs, 19 steals, a 355 on base. You wonder why this team is so good. Look how frequently these guys just get on base. That's all we really care about in some contexts. Obviously, for DFS, we want to talk power. We want to talk a bunch of other things. But for baseball, for winning baseball games, this is literally the most important thing you can do. It feeds everything else that goes on, everything that goes on over here. This team is very, very good at it. Sal Frelick steals you bases in addition to getting on base. Good table setter. Hits for average. Doesn't have a ton of individual power, but he's up to a dozen home runs on the season on no kind of premium contact. Andrew Vaughn makes great contact. So does Jake Bauers always have. Both guys, mix and match quality as far as what the output looks like. Vaughn went on a nice tear when he first joined the Brewers. Cooled off from there. 14 home runs, 257, 308, 416. Going to finish out on a nice but not spectacular season. But there's a lot of promise for the future there, and any given slate, tremendous upside. Jake Bauers hits home runs and steals bases. He's got 7 and 8 in 211 plate appearances. You give him a complete season, that's a 20-20 guy. Andrew Monasterio, mix and match quality. Joey Ortiz, less than that. They're going up against Zach Littell, who is entirely a target on the Reds. 3.86 ERA, but a 4.34 xFIP. Doesn't really walk anybody, but doesn't really strike anybody out either. Gives up plenty of premium contact that we can exploit with some of these Brewers power bats. Christian Yelich above the magic number. Chulio just under it. Some of the other guys, Andrew Vaughn, Jake Bauers, drawing respectable numbers. William Contreras, a respectable power number. Maybe even a little bit more impact for power hiding under that based on Littell this season alone. On the Red side, they're going up against Quinn Priester. He's been effective this year, 3.25 ERA. A 3.81 xFIP is a little bit, notably higher, a full half run higher, but still quite good. 20.3% strikeouts, just okay. 7.8% walk against that. Strikeout rate is a little too high, but we'll take it. They're going up against a Reds team that strikes out 23.1, walks just 8.6%, so he should be effective here. He's very good at keeping the ball down, 4.5 degree average launch, keeps the ball in the yard, 2.86% home run. Because of that, it's a good pitcher. He's got good stuff. I like the arsenal to find a few Ks against this Reds team. 8,500, 9,000 on the board. Not necessarily great pricing for what he's likely to deliver versus like the top options, but he can break off a premium start here too. If you're going to Reds bats, you had TJ Friedl, Gavin Lux, basically two copies of the same guy. Just get on base pretty effectively, mix and match quality power. Between the two, Friedel's shown more power this season. He's also stolen more bases. He's in the leadoff spot. He's got a 107 WRC plus versus Lux's 100. He's the more interesting of the two. Either way, I think you want one, not both of those guys. But when they're both at the top of the lineup, that changes that story a little bit. Perfectly fine to have both of them in this configuration of the lineup. Noelvi Marte, spectacular catch to rob a home run that would have tied the game in the ninth with one out yesterday. If you didn't see it, just great catch, scaled the wall, and just came down with it and just went nuts that he caught the ball. Just getting used to playing the outfield. Was not an outfielder prior to a few weeks ago. 4,100, 3,100, 14 home runs, 10 stolen bases. Kid's been good. 193 ISO. Miguel Andujar, 3,300, 2,800. Solid hit tool. 315, 351, 471. He's hit 10 home runs. Found a little bit of power when he first arrived in Cincy. We're talking more about the hit tool, though. That's what I would focus on. A little correlated scoring option, a little BABIP. Very low strikeout, low walk, so a lot of balls in play. They're just not particularly well struck. Ellie De La Cruz at 54, 38, 21 homers, 36 steals. Tremendous season so far. That is so far. We're at the end. It's been a tremendous season. 175 ISO needs to climb, but a 332 xWOBA, 108 WRC plus. There's a lot of quality there. He's their star. You don't sleep on Ellie. I don't think anybody needed to be told that. Spencer Steer, 39, 29, 21 home runs out of him. It's a down season overall for the quality, but the power's there. The power's nice to find. That's really what you would be doing is home run hunting with him. Overall, he's kind of low end as far as any kind of consistency, 97 WRC plus. Tyler Stevenson, maybe more interesting. For one, he makes way better contact more frequently, 14.8% barrel, 49% hard hit. It's resulted in 13 home runs, a 195 ISO, terrific numbers, over 332 plate appearances for an affordable catcher that people don't play that aggressively. Ke'Bryan Hayes, good batted ball events don't result in anything. That's always been the case with him. 66 WRC plus. And Matt McClain has struggled his way through the season, but he's found some counting stats: 15 homers, 18 steals, 72 runs. You're mix and matching your way through. You just need a spot filler. He's reasonable while not being high quality or high priority. Decent contact as well. Brewers bats, Quinn Priester. Reds bats, wouldn't really consider Zach Littell. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're out there. 5:53, trying to get us through with a little time left to build lineups, update websites, and so on. Started later than I wanted to on this one. Check out rotoscouts.com. Everything is always under $1 a day at Rotoscouts. If you're not familiar, gets you access to baseball and football right now. Gets you access to baseball, football, basketball, and hockey when everything's going on. Yeah, Mike, I'm not disagreeing with you on the Brewers. They just beat you. You're right. They have a fantastic pitching staff. Just tremendous pitching staff, in my opinion. Starters and bullpen. Up and down, they get on base. If Joey Ortiz doesn't win a Gold Glove, it's a shame, says Michael Knack. Yeah, look, I should be saying that about Ortiz, right? He's here for defense. He's one of those guys. Doesn't hit a lick, but yeah, we can give him that much credit. But yeah, it's a terrific baseball team. Would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form if they win the series this year. Astros lineup is not yet in. Jason Alexander, Kyle Hendricks. Alexander at 65, maybe a loose consideration just with so much strikeout in the Angels lineup. They're striking out nearly 30% of the time. He doesn't really find the Ks, 19.2 with a 9.9% swinging strike rate. He's okay in that department. He had, what was his strikeout high for the season? He had one really good start that still sticks in my craw against the Yankees back on the 10th of August. 6 innings, he hit them over 6. He struck out just 3 and he walked 3 in that game, but he shut them out. 1 hit them. That was coming off of 6 shutout innings against Miami. Went on a decent run, 2 earned runs in the following 2 starts, 3 and 3 in the 2 after that. And then a good 7-inning start, 3 back against Toronto. Kept Toronto to 3 hits, no runs, struck out just 3 and walked 1 against that low strikeout team. For the season, he peaked at 8 Ks. That was against the Rockies. You could see similar themes here, but the Angels overall are better. They're showing plenty of power upside against. He hasn't given up that much in terms of barrels, and it's a reasonable launch angle. But 45.9% hard hit, nearly 90 miles an hour of exit velo, an entirely believable 4.40% home run. We did have previous sample. 3.74% all the way back there in 22 in 11 starts. So I think I lean a little bit stronger toward the Angels. 4.25 implied total. They're a totally unreliable team, but when they get there with all that power. So I lean that direction. 65, if you want to throw a few darts on DK, I wouldn't begrudge you some shares. He's fine, and there are, again, plenty of strikeouts here. Kyle Hendricks, you just don't want. He's a target for Astros bats. That is a high-quality team with a lot of good bats, low strikeout team to boot, and he's just bad. 4.79 ERA, nearly a 5x FIP, 15% strikeouts is no appeal whatsoever, even for price. Jose Altuve at the top of the Astros, 41-31. Another Jose Altuve kind of season, 26 homers, 10 steals. The average of the on-base have come down slightly. The ISO isn't over 200 this year. It's only 178, but he's found the output. He's found the counting stats. He's found what we care about for DFS, 113 WRC+. Isaac Paredes, interesting option, 20 home runs on the board, a 206 ISO. Very good at getting on base when he's not hitting for power, low strikeout, high walk rate. That's an interesting hitter to throw at a nothing pitcher like this. Carlos Correa for 33, 28, 13 home runs in 579 plate appearances. Not elite output as far as the power goes, just a 128 ISO, but makes very good contact. Solid line drive hitter, if nothing else. 274, 332, 402, a 106 WRC+. Has been good since rejoining Houston. Christian Walker at 38 at 3,000. Very cheap for a guy with 24 home runs. Just a 170 ISO, but with the track record for power that we have, with the late season resurgence that he's seen, that is very, very cheap. 12.1% barrel, 45% hard hit. He's been doing that part all season long. Jesus Sanchez is cheap for the barrels that he finds. 3,100, 2,600. He's hit 13 home runs. He's also stolen 12 bases. Doesn't have a great slash line. Rarely does, but hits for power. consistently good contact from the left side. And he's cut strikeout by 5 percentage points this year. I'm very interested in Jesus Sanchez's 2026. For today, he's just playable. Jhonder Diaz at 36, 28, 19 home runs on the board, a 155 ISO and 89 WRC plus. Disappointing year, but a high quality kid. Low strikeout, very low walk, a lot of very, very good contact for 3,600 where you have to play catchers. Jake Myers, Zach Cole, Mauricio Dubon down lineup, mix and match options. All Myers has had a good 381 plate appearances. He'd be the top priority. Top of the Angels with Nolan Shanuel returned to the lineup. Good on-base option. Good table setter with a 355 on base, a 110 WRC plus ahead of Mike Trout, Taylor Ward, Joe Adell. Trout at 44 on DraftKings, 32 on FanDuel. Cheap for being Mike Trout. 23 home runs, a 190 ISO, a 114 WRC plus. We've lost some quality in the average, undeniably. It's not stealing bases anymore. Strikes out too much these days, but 32.4% strikeout with a 15.7% walk. He's just like a 3 true outcomes hitter. He's still got an elite on base, 360 xWOBA, makes fantastic contact. There's a lot to like about Mike Trout, just different form. Taylor Ward, 41, 34, 36 home runs this year. Joe Adell, 42, 31, 37 home runs, 253 ISO. A big weekend, we get 40 home runs out of Joe Adell. He's the home run pick of the day today to get him to 38. Let's do it. If you were here opening day or the first day that the Angels were on a slate, you heard the enthusiasm for Joe Adell that we had that day. Think about what my enthusiasm for Joe Adell is now, 37 home runs later. Kid's been a beast. Apparently his real name is Jordan Adell. I would go by Jordan Adell. Sounds pretty badass. Might find a little bit better of a batting average, a little bit better of an on base. Luis Renifo, Logan O'Hoppe, Christian Moore, Denzer Guzman, and Bryce Teodosio down lineup. Mix and match quality all with O'Hoppe being the highest priority by a pretty good stretch. 19 home runs, a 162 ISO, just a 75 WRC plus out of him, but only 37 at catcher. Good spot filler and has maintained premium contact numbers throughout the season, 13.7% barrel rate. Renifo's only been a mix and match quality guy throughout the season, does provide counting stats when he's going right, but hasn't been going right all that much, just cheap in the middle of the lineup. Christian Moore is here too early, just hasn't really found it. He has found 7 home runs in 173 plate appearances, which isn't nothing, but otherwise has been pretty weak. Guzman has been nothing over 33 plate appearances, and Teodosio mostly here for defense. This goes Astros bats, Angels bats, Jason Alexander darts at 65. Somebody asked earlier if we're sleeping on the Diamondbacks. They're definitely on the list, if nothing else, of good teams that might be lower on today while still being high priced. And, you know, as we've talked about throughout the season, we like to get when we're being contrarian. If I can do that while getting to a very high quality team, why did I get the Diamondbacks? If I can do that while getting to a very high quality team like the Diamondbacks, absolutely, that's got appeal. You're going up against a version of Yu Darvish that has a 5.51 ERA, but a 4.05 xFIP. He's striking out 23.2%, only a 6.2% walk rate. That's a pretty tremendous ratio. 9.9% swinging, just a 27.9% CSW is all right. 115 whip is not bad. He's given up a lot of home runs, but it hasn't really come on much premium contact. Those are circumstantial home runs, right? Nothing that he's done here would lead you to this by any stretch of the imagination. These are elite numbers as far as inducing weak and medium contact, not hard contact. So in a lot of ways, he's actually been pretty good. If we look at recent outings, 4 2/3 last time out, 4 strikeouts, no walk. Gave up 2 earned on 6 hits, 3 earned runs on 4 hits over 5 to Colorado the start before that, 3 earned runs on 6 hits over 5 2/3 in Cincinnati, the one before that. So this is where our 5+ ERA is coming from. There are earned runs going up every single slate. He's found some strikeouts along the way, though. Hasn't pitched particularly deep into games. He really only had one disaster outing. He gave up 8 earned runs on July 24th to the Cardinals. Hasn't given up more than 4 earned runs in any start. It's just in most of his starts, he's given up 3 or 4. I think he's at least serviceable at 62. That's a dart in your quiver. But yeah, Diamondbacks are a good team. No reason not to at least consider them if you're looking for expensive contrarian options. 3.55 implied total, though, I think speaks to the quality with which Darvish has actually been pitching. Pitcher-friendly ballpark helps him out a little bit here. I don't think you prioritize him because of any of what I just said, but I don't think necessarily that you would push the Diamondbacks up the board all that aggressively. If they were cheaper, in addition to being lower owned, then sure. But right now, they're just like I was saying, good team in a contrarian spot where I would take them, but I don't know that I prioritize getting to them. If I do prioritize them, obviously the top three are super interesting. Perdomo's made himself a star. 390 on base, 19 homers, 26 steals, a 137 WRC plus. Fantastic table setter for Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll. Now that they finally figured out this is the correct configuration of this lineup over the last month or so. Gabriel Moreno's holding down the cleanup role pretty nicely. 284, 349, 437, a 116 WRC plus, 9 homers and 298 plate appearances. That's a solid bat. Low strikeout, high walk. Can't ask for much more from a young, cheap catcher. Marte's got 26 homers. Carroll's got 31 and 32 stolen bases, a 139 WRC plus. Blaze Alexander has hit the ball squarely in his compact season over just 261 plate appearances. It's resulted in 7 home runs, just a 154 ISO. Reasonable output, but not tremendous output. It doesn't totally match those numbers. You can expect more from Blaze Alexander going forward. Needs to cut strikeout or find walk, though. James McCann, just a mixer at catcher. He does have 5 home runs and 129 plate appearances. He finds the quality from time to time for power. Alec Thomas and Jake McCarthy mix and match options in the outfield, and Ildemaro Vargas is a mixer. I do not like him at first base for 33, but at any other position, second, short, third base, and outfield, everything but first base on FanDuel for 22, he's more in the mix. 260, 278, 385. He's just the spot filler. I don't think you want more than one of McCann, Thomas, Vargas, or McCarthy, though. On the pods, Nando Tatis stuck at 23 home runs now, 32 stolen bases. It's a good season. I mean, if you just take the name off of it, that's a very, very good season. You'd be happy to have it. 380 xWOBA to speak to the quality under the surface. 56, 38, 8.86 in the home run model. Totally playable against Zach Gallen. Gallen comes in at 83.91. He's playable back the other way. This is a good low strikeout Padres lineup, so it's not a very good target for him, but he's been better. He's found form in the second half. So you have to give him at least a little bit of attention. 7 innings last time out against Philly, 3 earned runs, but struck out 9. 6 innings of 1-run ball against San Francisco, struck out 6. 6 2/3, 5 runs on 5 hits against San Francisco in San Francisco the start before that one. Gave up 2 homers in that game. So a little bit of wonky scoring. That was his worst start in his last dozen or so. Consistently giving you 6 innings. A couple of shutout performances over 6 over that stretch. Couple of 3-run games, couple of 1-run games and 2-run games. He's been much, much better in the second half. Again, I don't love targeting the Padres with anybody, including pitchers better than Gallen, but at 83, he's reasonable. 91 on FanDuel, I'm more skeptical. Luis Arias stuck in that 2 spot all year long. 288, 324, 388. Just a weird spot for that kind of a hitter. Just a slap hitting table setter. Manny Machado at 51, 35, 26 homers, 14 steals. A bounce back season from Manny for power. 121 WRC plus. Been terrific throughout the season. A lot of premium contact there. Jackson Merrill at 46, 33 is entirely playable. He's got 16 home runs. Doesn't have the elite numbers that he put up last year, but this has not been a bad season. And if we gave him another 200 plate appearances, get him into the mid 600s, and normalize the season, I feel like it would have been pretty much on par with last year. He's made great contact when he's been healthy. Xander Bogaerts had a good year. 260, 327, 383 when it was all said and done. 101 WRC plus, 10 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Serviceable for a cheap veteran at shortstop. Gavin Sheets, Ryan O'Hearn, 4,000, 3,500, 28, 3,000 first base and outfield eligibility both on FanDuel. O'Hearn's only a first baseman on DraftKings, but since you can put Sheets in the outfield, it's not problematic. Mid-teens home runs or upper-teens home runs out of both, 19 and 17 home runs. A little bit more realistic power in the ongoing sense out of Sheets. Higher ISO, 348 xWOBA versus 343 xWOBA, though, I think speaks to a little bit of the quality that O'Hearn has in drawing walks. 10.5% walk rate this season, 8.3 for Gavin Sheets. Both guys striking out 19.9% of the time. Ultimately, they're pretty damn similar. I think you could take one or both in any given stack of Padres, but you probably prioritize getting to one, not both, right? So having both is okay, but better is one or the other. Cronenworth, good at getting on base, 368 on base, a 119 WRC plus, solid correlated scoring guy, and then a very cheap catcher with a solid hit tool at 2,400 for Freddie Fermin down the bottom of the lineup. Padres play 1 through 9. This is an interesting lineup to throw at Zach Gallen. I do think Gallen's capable of beating them, but their low strikeout nature takes away some of what he does well, and they can exploit some of what he does poorly and has problems with. So Pod's on the board a little bit, and probably more so than the D-backs. I would say Padres bats, Diamondbacks, Padres bats, Zach Gallen, Diamondbacks bats, Yu Darvish. But it is actually a 4 cornersy kind of a game. Any one of those things, I wouldn't tell you you're crazy for playing. Darvish is only 62 also in that mix of super, super cheap darts. So like kind of like I said about Joey Wentz at 6, you could go here at 62 and put that together with Trevor McDonald. Again, you're probably taking an insane path through the woods there. And it's probably not necessary to extract that much value at pitcher, but it's there, and those are reasonable options. Dodgers, Mariners. Mariners lineup is in. Dodgers lineup is not. Both these teams had very low totals for these teams. Mid-3s for both. 338 on the Dodgers, 370 on the Mariners, because we've got good pitching going in this one. Emmett Sheehan has maybe not been talked about enough throughout the season. 30.1% strikeout over 11 starts, 2.86 ERA, a 3.46 xFIP, 15.5% swinging strike rate. He's been tremendous. 8,400, 9,500. Taking on a Mariners team that, good as they are, does have plenty of strikeout available for them. Multiple guys in the upper 20s, totals out to 22.8, and that's with some offsets in there. You take out, I'll just take out the 13 and see where we go. You just take out the 13, we're at 24%. Take out the 218s, we're at 25.8% for the remaining 6 guys. Those guys are elite power hitters. They're the best players on this team by and large. But there are strikeouts for Sheehan to go find, and he's been more than good enough to beat this Mariners team. Very much on the board at 84. Very much on the board at 95 as well. Would play. George Kirby, 94, 10,000. No issues with it even against the Dodgers. 25% strikeouts against 5% walks. 4.24 ERA, but a 3.30 xFIP that speaks to his actual quality. Much better than this ERA number under the surface, and would get to normalized numbers if we gave him more time. Last year, 23% strikeouts against 3% walks. Just fantastic season. 3.53 ERA, 3.58 xFIP. Cheap on DraftKings too at 94. He could easily have come in at 10. It is the Dodgers on the other side. They've been a little bit shaky, up and down the stretch, but Mookie's normalized his numbers a little bit lately. He's up to 20 home runs on the season. Just a 150 ISO, but a 106 WRC plus. Nice to see him find the quality late in the year. Shohei Ohtani, 54 home runs, 19 stolen bases. One of the best pitchers in the league. Is not, what else can you say? Freddie Freeman, pair of home runs yesterday, 23 on the season now, 293, 364, 496, a 203 ISO. Just another superstar caliber Freddie Freeman season. Take advantage. He's fairly priced at 47.36. Max Muncy at 48.31, especially on FanDuel. Max is stupid cheap. 13.6% barrel, 51% hard hits, 19 home runs and 388 plate appearances, a 227 ISO, 16.5% walk rate. If anybody can draw a walk against Kirby, Max Muncy. Teoscar Hernandez at 44.35 has 25 home runs on the board. A little bit cheap on DraftKings. It's the reverse between him and Muncy. Prioritize Muncy at the cheap price on FanDuel, Teoscar on DraftKings. 211 ISO, 103 WRC plus. Michael Conforto's been bad all year, but has made good contact all year. 9.5% barrel, 44.3% hard hit, from which he's extracted almost nothing. 12 home runs in 475 plate appearances. He is up to the Mendoza line, though. He is above a 300 on base suddenly. 82 WRC plus. Underlying 337 xWOBA speaks to the quality. I'm not crazy. I know I've been talking about it all season, and it has not arrived, but it's in there. Tommy Edman, mix and match quality hitter across multiple positions, fills some counting stats. Andy Pye has been tremendous throughout the season, 42, 3,000, 27 homers and 14 steals. Just unfair for them to have a kid like that. And then Ben Rortvedt, not much of a bat at the catcher spot. If you go into Mariners, they're on the board as much as the Dodgers are. But again, we lean pitching in this one. Randy Arozarena at 48.33, 27 homers, 29 steals, a 118 WRC plus. How about a round of applause for Cal Raleigh? Not somebody I had on my bingo card at the beginning of the year. I like Cal. He's always a good home run hitter, good bat, but 60 home runs, competing for the MVP. Whew. Good clip the other day for that 60th home run, too. Whole crowd chanting MVP at him and jacked one into the right field seats. Love the option. 63.45 is way more expensive than everyone else at his position. Something to keep in mind with Cal and his value. 53, 4,000 for Julio. 32 home runs, 28 stolen bases, monster second half, 209 ISO. Josh Naylor's just good, 4,800, 3,500. He's got 20 home runs, 29 steals. Excellent slash line, 127 WRC plus. Gino is down to 4,000 on DraftKings. Remember the other day when they had Julio like 34 or whatever the hell? This is kind of similar. 4,000 is stupid. Gino has 49 home runs this year, a 304 ISO. Why is he 4,000? I hate that price so much, it's making me cough. I have no idea why he'd be that cheap. 11.67 in the home run model. Absolutely take advantage. That is a spectacular one-off, if nothing else, on DraftKings, even against Emmett Sheehan. And Sheehan's given up a 9.7% barrel, 41.5% hard hit, 89.4 miles an hour of exit velo. A little lucky to be at that 2.45% home run on a 20-degree average launch. This is a guy that these guys could definitely hit home runs against. This is utterly inexplicable price. One of the worst prices we've had all year long. Take advantage. 35 on FanDuel is correct. Luke Raley's very cheap. 2,700. He hits the ball very hard. He's found 4 home runs in 207 plate appearances. Has not been here very consistently this year. Just last year in 455 chances, he hit 22 homers and stole 11 bases, had a 220 ISO and a 129 WRC plus. Do not sleep on Luke Raley. That's another good player for extremely cheap prices down lineup. Victor Robles is a good player. A lot of stolen base upside, a little bit of medium grade power. JP Crawford gets on base like crazy, a little pop in the bat, good table setter, good wraparound option, and then Cole Young's at the bottom of the lineup. George Kirby, Emmett Sheehan. The Mariners just closed the gap, though, with those cheap prices, at least on DraftKings. They're a lot closer to Sheehan than I would have put them originally. And then, oddly, the Dodgers bringing up the bottom of the list. Royals, Athletics, 2 of the highest totals of the entire slate here at the end in this bandbox out in Sacto. We've got both these lineups in. Noah Cameron's been decent, a lot of depth early on, and that helped pad some of the numbers as he gave up more runs as time went on, made shorter starts as time went on. It did definitely help with the overall quality, but right now we're at a 2.90 ERA, but a 4.13 xFIP. Just a 20.2% strikeout rate despite an 11.5% swinging strike. There's enough quality here, and especially around the swinging strike, the low whip, for me to believe that he could get through this team a few times if you roll this 100 times. But it just feels unnecessary, especially because you're paying $87.93. There's no real discount there, and he's not a premium strikeout pitcher, so he's not really earning those even those prices. So don't like that option. Would not play Mason Barnett against this elite low strikeout Royals team that has some power in it, has excellent sequencing. So we're just talking bats here. Yaz at the top of the Royals, 36-27, 15 home runs, good at getting on base, 328 on base, 101 WRC plus on the season. Reasonable table setter ahead of the bats that we actually want, but in no way a priority. 58-38 for Bobby Witt. 23 home runs, 37 steals, a 352 on base, a 209 ISO, 131 WRC plus. It's just another elite season for Bobby Witt Jr. Vinny Pasquantino, 32 home runs, another one of our guys. 4,200, 3,100, just still way too cheap. I don't know why Vinny's that cheap. He's more expensive than Eugenio Suarez, though. Stupid. 213 ISO, 118 WRC plus. Holding down his usually excellent numbers, 15.7% strikeouts. Found way more barrels this year. We had 10.5% barrels, up from 7.1, 7.4 the last 2 years. It was exactly the change he needed to make, and he delivered on it. Michael Garcia has been tremendous, 16 home runs, 23 steals. The average has come down a little bit of the on base over the last couple of weeks. Hasn't been quite as frequent with the output, but just a tremendous season. Great run creator, 346 xWOB under the surface, low strikeout, high walk. It's been everything you could want. Sal Perez, excellent for power still, 30 home run season out of Sal. He drove in 100 again this year, 213 ISO, 99 WRC plus on the season. Doesn't really jibe with the quality, but whatever. Carter Jensen, second catcher, but we're prioritizing Sal. He's had a good 56 plate appearances, though. There's some pedigree there. He's a playable piece, but considering you're not getting any discount on DraftKings from Sal, I would just take Sal unless you're trying to fade some popularity. Jonathan India, Adam Frazier, Jack Caglianone, mix and match options down the lineup. Caglianone's still the most interesting guy. Maybe the lefty thunder comes through against a bad pitcher in this ballpark. He has not been good in the show so far, but he does have 7 home runs, just a 141 ISO, but it comes with good contact. In the minors, this is a premier power hitter. They're expecting a lot from the kid, just maybe here a little bit early. But in this spot, I would take advantage of that. Maybe you're going there instead of Yaz. Not that you're looking at him as a wraparound in terms of getting on base, but like you get him in just for the power shot and then just like straight line through the top there. And we're paying $41.80 for a stack that includes Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Garcia, and Sal Perez in this ballpark against Mason Barnett. That is a spectacular option on DraftKings, and it's pretty good on FanDuel too. These guys are too cheap for this ballpark for who they are. The Athletics, Shea Langoliers, Nick Kurtz up at the top, Brent Rooker, Tyler Soderstrom, their usual complement of elite power, 31, 35, 30, and 25 home runs for that group. Ridiculous power upside, 261, 330, 219 ISOs. Kurtz leading the team with 35 home runs in fewer plate appearances than everybody else. 330 ISO leads the team in fewer plate appearances than everybody else. More barrels, more hard hits than everybody else on the team. Kid just right out of the shell, just absolutely elite power bat. Rooker, Soderstrom, excellent options from the right and left side. Rooker's gotten really cheap as well, $4,200 on DraftKings, $34 on FanDuel is much more correct, but still arguably a couple bucks cheap. Take advantage on DraftKings. That is very cheap. And again, we get this ballpark. We get to attack a lefty bat with Brent Rooker in this ballpark for $4,200. Stupid cheap. Jacob Wilson has an excellent hit tool, 4,000, 3,000. I'd like to see him climb this version of the lineup and just set the table for the other guys. As is, he's just kind of resetting the table or maybe driving them in with a base hit type of a performance. Kobe Thomas, mix and match quality over 125 plate appearances. Lawrence Butler, 2020 season, 21 homers, 21 steals. Once upon a time, that was considered very good. 173 ISO, dipped in quality overall for the season, but still putting up good contact numbers. Definitely a high priority outfielder now that he's gotten very cheap to throw at Cameron, but lefty doesn't help him. Darryl Erneiz and Brett Harris are mixers at the bottom of the lineup. This goes Royals bats, A's bats. If you need a pitcher here, it's Noah Cameron, but he's overpriced for the situation. All right, last one up. Get wrapped back around to this ludicrous Trevor McDonald spot. Handful of people here still watching. So we've talked through a little bit. McDonald, not particularly good in the minors, 24 years old, low end numbers in AAA this season, 22 and change percent strikeouts, but 9% walks, 22.9 and 9.9, pitching to a 5.53 FIP, a 5.31 ERA, and a 4.87 xFIP. In 24 AAA starts, 142 innings. So he's not good, but the Rockies are not good. They strike out nearly 27% of the time. They come in at a 3.40 implied total against him. This ballpark will help him. And he's only 4,000. He's 6,000 on FanDuel. And just the other day, he faced the Dodgers, went 6 hits, 1 run, 3 strikeouts, and a walk. You get that for this price in this spot, probably find 2 more strikeouts along the way over 6 innings. You're off and running. It's just a no-brainer value spot. Even if he's bad, it's just the correct move to play him. And Ramon Marquez, you don't want at any price. 14.4% strikeouts over 122 innings, just not showing the quality they used to have at all. 6.49 ERA, 5.21 xFIP, super targetable. Giants, even in a pitcher-friendly park, come in at a 5+ implied total. Tells you about the quality there. If you're going Rockies against Trevor McDonald, that will be a very contrarian option. And I think it's worth doing a couple times, especially if you get overexposed to McDonald. In lineups where you don't have them, grab a couple of hedge stacks. Mickey Moniak at the top would be a priority, 36-31, a lot of power in that bat, 24 home runs, a 249 ISO this season. Hunter Goodman has 30 and a 240 ISO, second highest priority bat, also fills the catcher role. He's a little pricey on DraftKings, but playable there and would be, again, a top priority guy. Blaine Krim, his actual first name is even stranger than Blaine. I forget what it is. Something with an L. Linden Krim, something like that. 5 home runs in just 662 plate appearances, a 321 ISO in the show so far. He's not that bad, but he's decent for a little bit of power upside. It's going to come with a lot of strikeout and not enough walk. Just very cheap to throw at Trevor McDonald. Jordan Beck makes great contact throughout the season. So does Ezequiel Tovar. So does, he's not in the lineup. Yanquiel Fernandez, if we need a third guy as far as a decent barrel rate down lineup. These two guys, though, 9.4, 9.2, not bad out of Beck and Tovar. Tovar hasn't really found a lot of quality from it. 138 ISO, 8 home runs. He had a bunch of home runs last year. Has upside for sure at that price if you're going to the Rockies. Not a reason to go to the Rockies. Jordan Beck, 15 homers, 19 steals. Nice little season in 576 plate appearances. Just a 93 WRC plus and a concerning 312 xWOBA. Needs to find more consistency and quality. It needs to find more walk, cut some strikeout. But he's got good counting stats, good for DFS. Kyle Kairos at 27-25 hasn't found too much so far. Top-end prospect for them. Any given slate type upside. Fernandez, again, does have a little bit of pop in the bat. Solid barrel rate at 8% so far, 5.24 in the home run model. He's hit 4 in his 136 chances. Warming Bernabel hit 4 in a hurry, over 139 plate appearances, 167 ISO. Have him back in the lineup, mix and match quality down the bottom. And then Ryan Ritter at 25-23, just a spot filler. The more interesting of those teams, Elliot Ramos at the top of the Giants. Do we have this one? We do. He is in that spot. So Ramos has definitely power in the bat, but he's faded badly over the second half. He's got 20 home runs on the year, just a 141 ISO, but still hanging on to a 107 WRC plus. For the cheap price he's at now, you can definitely go there. He's still got good numbers in the aggregate, so I think he's a reasonable option, but you want to prioritize Rafi Devers, Willie Adames, the actually talented players. 54-39 is reasonable for Rafi. He's got 34 home runs at 223 ISO, 133 WRC plus. Willie Adames at just 43. Definitely another very cheap player. 36 on FanDuel is more correct. He's got 28 home runs, 12 stolen bases, a 106 WRC plus, a 334 xWOBA under the surface. Matt Chapman's got a 353 xWOBA. He's got a 200 ISO, 21 home runs in 523 plate appearances. Always makes elite contact, elite swing speed, draws walks, medium strikeout, but everybody up at the top of this lineup draws their walks against their strikeouts. So it's a good option as far as getting some guys on base, setting the table for the rest of these guys. And then don't sleep on Bryce Eldridge. It sucks that you've got first base conflict with him and Rafi on DraftKings. You don't have that on FanDuel. Outfielder on FanDuel, and Rafi's got first and third base. So you've actually got some flexibility between the two on the FanDuel slate. But Eldridge comes in at 2,700 on both sites. In his 30 plate appearances, he's had some ridiculous batted ball events with nearly a 30% barrel and 78.6% hard hits. Those won't hold. It's resulted in just a .083 ISO and no home runs somehow in the 30 plate appearances. But Eldridge is a premium prospect. He had 25 home runs and a 250 ISO in 433 minor league plate appearances this year, 286 in AAA, 140 in AA. 18 home runs came after the promotion up to AAA. Had a 265 ISO up there. Kid just mashes baseballs. So very, very cheap. To throw at Emron Marquez here, don't sleep on Eldridge. That is a great option right there. 10.52 leads the team in the home run model. Casey Schmidt, Jung-Hoo Lee, Patty Bailey, and Grant McCray, mix and match options all. I would say probably Jung-Hoo Lee is your priority just for a little bit of average, churn the lineup a little bit, keep things rolling, but he's just a spot filler. Casey Schmidt hits the ball reasonably hard for a cheap second baseman, multi-position on FanDuel, 99, 104 WRC pluses out of those guys. Patty Bailey's just there to do the catching, really, and Grant McCray hasn't shown us much over 22 plate appearances. Giants bats, Trevor McDonald, Giants bats, however you want to list it, it doesn't matter. McDonald's just an oddity more than anything else. It's not, again, he's not good. It's just the Rockies are so bad, and he's so cheap. 6 innings against this team gives anybody a quality projection. Rockies bats at the bottom, and Ramon Marquez not in play. And that'll do you guys. That is your baseball season. Just a few people here hanging out for the very end of the show. I don't blame you. Got to get some lineups built. We will. Beyond the Rabbit Hole likes Elliot Ramos tonight. Elliot is him tonight. Okay. So coming up on 6:30, let me say a quick thank you very much for the whole season. It's great. There's no show if you guys don't show up. So really appreciate every single one of you guys still here listening. Anybody who hears this at some point later on, or I'll say it again on the football show. Absolutely love you guys. Best audience in the industry. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. Check out rotoscouts.com if you're oddly new here and still hanging out among the 6-7 people still here hanging out. Check out the website. It's rotoscouts.com. Football content's up. A lot of writing to do overnight tonight to get the football notes in place for tomorrow morning, and projections updates, everything, all the usual content will be updated throughout the weekend. 2 more baseball main slates to go through the weekend. Full projections will be up for those as usual. But this will be our last baseball show for the regular season. We'll see what playoff slates look like for next week. But if I don't see you anytime soon, thank you guys so much. Good luck out there tonight. Somebody go win something, and we'll see you down the road. Later, gang.